It's time we learnt how to be better listeners. A lot of people see listening as a passive skill. As long as I can hear what is being said, then I'm listening. If I don't understand what is being said, then that's the fault of the speaker, not me, the listener. Of course, it's the speaker's job to connect with the audience and to express themselves in a clear, concise, and engaging manner. However, the listener has an important role to play in this process. The listener not only receives the information, they interpret and respond to it. They give the speaker feedback, whether this is through their body language or through the questions that they ask. When you do this, you're said to be listening actively. And it's when you're listening actively that you learn the most. So let's learn how we can do this. Here are 10 terrific tips that will help you to listen better. Tip 1. Keep quiet when others are talking. This is an obvious one. It's really hard to filter out other people's conversations when you're trying to listen to one person. Give it a try now. Are you finding your attention switching between me and these other speakers? Hello!
Oi, listen to me!
Have you seen what I'm saying? It's far more interesting than this. This is the reason we need to have one person speaking at a time. Tip 2. Face the person who is speaking. I'm sure you've noticed that there's a big difference between talking to somebody over the phone and talking to them face to face. You glean so much more information when you can see them speaking. Their eyes, their facial expressions, and their hand gestures help communicate and emphasize what they are saying. So make sure you always listen with your eyes as well as your ears. You can only do this if you face the person who is speaking. So, even if you are sat to their side, move your body position so that you can see the speaker talking. Tip 3. Notice the speaker's body language when they are talking. We're now aware of the importance of facing the person who is speaking. When watching, notice their body language. Notice how they are stood or how they are sat. Notice how they gesture with their hands and how they use facial expressions to give meaning or emphasis to the words they are saying. All of this gives you important extra information. Their body language will mostly help reinforce what they are saying, although sometimes this may not be the case. When there is a disconnect between the message someone is giving you and the body language they are presenting, it might make you suspicious that perhaps they're not telling the truth, or they lack conviction or confidence in what they are explaining. So become a better listener by focusing not only on what is being said, but on how it is being said. Tip 4. Show the speaker that you are listening by giving them non-verbal cues. Remember, the listener has an important role to play in the communication process. It's your job to give the speaker feedback as to what you think about what they are saying. If they pick up that you might be confused, they might repeat what they have just said or explain it with more clarity. If they detect that you are bored, they might change what they are saying or how they are saying it. If they notice you are surprised or shocked by something, perhaps they will talk about it in more detail. They cannot, however, tailor their message to you unless you give them useful feedback. So whenever you are listening, give the speaker the information they need by nodding your head, or smiling, or frowning, or shaking your head, or clapping, or putting your hand up to ask a question. Tip 5. Get involved in the discussion. Listening is an active, not passive skill, and one way you can ensure that you are active is by answering and asking questions. This has many advantages. Firstly, it gives your speaker some bonus feedback, making it clear to them that you have understood what they have said or what you are interested in learning more about. Secondly, it keeps you focused. Having the mindset that you're going to answer and ask questions helps keep you involved. It helps you concentrate on what the speaker is saying and stops you from daydreaming. Finally, it makes you invested in the discussion. You are motivated to know the answer to your questions, or if you've given an answer, you're motivated to find out if you are right or wrong. This helps you to listen more carefully. Tip 6. If you don't understand something, ask. Sometimes people are reluctant to ask questions if they have not understood something the speaker has said. Perhaps they feel it might suggest that they haven't listened very well. The truth is, though, for the speaker, these are the most important questions to ask. If you are confused by something, then it's very likely that other people are confused by it too. It's also likely that the speaker, having assumed that everything so far has been understood, will build on what they have just said. By not asking your question, you are unlikely to understand what is coming next. So be brave, put that hand up and ask. Tip 7. During discussions, wait for the speaker to finish talking before putting your own hand up. Let's be clear, this does not mean don't put your hand up to ask questions. It means put your hand up at the right time. Unfortunately, as soon as you raise your hand, you are only thinking about the question you're about to ask or the thoughts you're about to share. Whatever the speaker is currently saying is lost to you, and they may be saying something really important. Of course, the worry is that you might forget your question or forget the point you are going to make. And if that might happen, quickly jot it down before re-engaging with the speaker. Having post-it notes or a whiteboard to hand during discussions will make this quick and simple to do. Tip 8. Focus on what is being said, not on what you are going to say next. We all do this, especially when we're having one-to-one conversations. When the other person is speaking, we suddenly feel there is something we have to say. That thought becomes our entire focus, and it doesn't matter what the other person is saying, our only goal is to say what we are thinking. Good listeners are able to put those thoughts to one side and only return to them once the other person finishes talking. Whilst pausing your own thoughts can be very difficult to control, try to notice when you feel that urge to speak. Being aware of it will help shift you away from the need to express to the importance of listening better. Tip 9. After listening to the ideas and opinions of others, pause for thought before responding. Often, when we're having a conversation or discussion with other people, silence is considered a bad thing. And people are often quick to fill those moments of silence with words. But silence is good. Silence is important. Silence gives us time to process what has just been said and consider our thoughts and feelings about it. So after listening to someone speak, get in the habit of pausing before delivering your response. Not only will your response be more thoughtful, but listeners tend to become more attentive when something is said after a long pause. Watch an interview with Elon Musk and you will notice how much he pauses before answering questions. Tip 10. Clarify that you have understood correctly by paraphrasing what you've just been told. Paraphrasing is basically turning what you've just heard into your own words. It's a great way of confirming that you have understood what the speaker has just said. So there you go. You now have 10 terrific tips to help you become a better listener. Remember, hearing is not the same as listening.